This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everybody. She is like the breath of fresh sunshine air. And every time we get together with her, it's always a positive thing because she promotes positivity in connected to love, by the way. She facilitates weddings in Hawaii, plans everything, gets it all done for you. Simple Kona Beach weddings. She's our professional of the year. Becky Ringler is back with us on the program, and we're going to talk about the journey of one particular couple and their wedding day and how it was transformed. And welcome back. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. It is a beautiful day here in Hawaii. It looks just like it does in my background. It's a gorgeous morning. So I'm very happy to be here.
I've mentioned before how many five-star reviews that you have, and some of these are connected. Well, yeah, of course, you have accolades and awards from the Knot. I think it's Wedding Wire every single year in succession, but so many great reviews. So I'm going to hijack one of your reviews that I found that came in literally yesterday. Five-star rating that they gave you, and I'm not even sure of the name. I want to see. Hold on one sec here. Yeah, it's not displaying right now, but I'm going to start reading it, and you'll probably know who it is right away from the details. Here it goes. Becky Ringler of Simple Kona Weddings transformed our wedding day in Kona, Hawaii into an effortless, elegant, and unforgettable celebration. From the moment we found her online last year, Becky's outstanding coordination, meticulous attention to detail, and genuine warmth made planning our dream wedding an absolute joy. Her professionalism and organizational expertise shone through every step of the process, ensuring that our big day was everything we hoped for and more. Throughout the year, Becky worked closely with us via Zoom calls and emails, patiently guiding us through every decision with her thoughtful insights and personalized approach. She provided a carefully curated list of service providers, including an incredible hair and makeup team. Never even thought that that was something you did, who arrived on time and delivered flawless results, a talented photographer who captured every moment beautifully, and a baker who created a wedding cake that was not only stunning, but also one of the best we've ever tasted, and our guests couldn't stop talking about it. I'm going to pause this right now. I didn't even know that you provided the wedding cake.
Well, so I don't typically, so a couple of things. I have I shouldn't say lots of, I have a couple of bakers that I work with. Typically on the beach, I do not recommend a wedding cake because let's imagine for a moment, there's cake and there's sand. It is not a great combination. But in this particular case, this couple, we did their ceremony at their rental house, which was right on the water. And so they had a perfect place to put their cake. But I still have referrals and recommendations for cakes. So sometimes people plan it for later, like they have it in their condo, their hotel room, wherever they're having it. Some places where they're having dinner, if they don't have a pastry chef, will allow you to bring a cake in. And I can help arrange that. And we have a couple of really spectacular folks here on island who do such a beautiful job. The flavors are all, like you can pick. There's a lot of flavors you can choose from, but a lot of them have a lot of fresh Hawaii flavors, really fresh fruit fillings. Not your typical like disgusting wedding cake that, tastes like cardboard but looks nice, on the outside. I'm by the way, not putting down some wedding cakes are delicious a lot of times, but I would say a majority of the time wedding cake is something that you look at but you're like, well, I'm in it for the frosting or whatever it might be. So,
It's like, oh, it looks good. I'm not a fan of fondant or fondant,
right,
fondant, whatever,
right.
how would it pronounce, but yeah, okay, whatever. This sounds like it was amazing. I mean, she's talking about how the guests were talking about the cake. So this just shows that you have an arsenal of, call them vendors, partners, whatever it might be, to get it done. So it's not just a woman that performs weddings on the beach. You facilitate basically anything that's needed, even if it's not part of the ceremony, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like all around the ceremony portion, which means things like the cake. I think hair and makeup, of course. I have a lot of beautiful, I shouldn't say a lot of, I have a handful of very highly recommended people that I trust, hair and makeup people that I work with, photographers that I work with, musicians, and the musicians that I just bring in the musicians. I have been working with them for years. They started out as our next door neighbors, and they were always, we were very good friends with them. And now they have a whole entertainment company, and they will always do my weddings, even though they mainly do lots of private shows at the Four Seasons and Kona Village, all the elite resorts.
But that's how
They,
close you are to them. They're your
yeah,
neighbors. I mean, physically, but also professionally, that to the point where you can feel confident in your heart that they're going to take care of your clients. You don't even have to worry about it. You just know it's almost like a relative, a family
yeah,
member taking care of it. They got your back. I want to continue here. Flowers. The review says the floral arrangements were breathtaking, perfectly matching our vision for a romantic island aesthetic, thanks to Becky's keen eye for detail and her ability to understand our style. Personally, I think that's really important because you need to get in somebody's head because everybody has a different vision of what they want their wedding to be.
yeah,
Becky's wedding coordination was nothing short of masterful. Her curated ceremony format was elegant, tasteful, and perfectly suited to the stunning Kona backdrop, blending island charm with timeless sophistication. She orchestrated every moment of the day with precision, from coordinating vendor arrivals to ensuring the timeline flowed seamlessly. One of the standout moments was how Becky arranged for a stress-free appointment for our marriage license right after we landed on the Big Island. Pause the review. You mentioned that a few times before about the marriage license process. You can't
yeah.
do it in advance. You got to be in person. Um, you know, a municipal logistical challenge, it can be, but you
Yeah.
make it easy. Tell us that marriage license process.
Yeah, so I mean, I have instructions for all of my couples on my website. They have a client resources link, and on there, there's complete marriage license instructions. So they'll fill the form out online. And by the way, for people that for some reason cannot fill it out online ahead of time for one reason or another, lack of reception or whatnot, you can do it in person with the marriage license agent. That's a little side note. It just take your appointment will be longer, but it is recommended that you do that part online first. And then I will help set up the marriage license appointment for them after they've arrived on island. Now, often if we're doing the wedding on the beach, we will sorry, the neighbor's dog is barking. You can't hear it, hopefully.
I
Okay,
wish
good.
my dog was here. Like, you can't hear it because
Oh,
Zoom
good. Okay, it's very loud for me,
filters
but
only the voice through. You know what? I honestly
um
wish I could hear the dog.
so the what was I saying? Okay, so oftentimes we plan that marriage license appointment for right after we meet on the beach. So I often will have an in-person meeting. We choose your spot on the beach, especially if there's flowers set up. That way you also know how to get to the beach, you know where you're going. And then there is a marriage license agent. I have a handful that I work with, but one of them is right next door to a lot of the beaches that I use. So we try and coordinate it. So not a lot of your time is taken up by this appointment. And here on the Big Island and in Hawaii in general, yes, you can go to a public office like the health department to get your license, but actually we have independent marriage license employed by the state, and they are located throughout the island. We had a shortage for a while, and now we've got finally a few more here in Kona. Um, but I know all of them, and I help set the appointment and make everything as smooth as possible so that it's easy for everybody. So
Hmm.
I feel very, very thankful for that. So
Oh,
it's my goal is like and this person's name was Nancy. It like Nancy said, it kind of makes it like something that you don't even have to think about. Like it's so flawless. I have to say that when we got our marriage license, when we got married here in Hawaii, I don't remember anything about it. Clearly we got it. I don't remember going to the appointment. So, but I don't think anyone helped me with it. Like I think that I had to figure it out on my own. So you'd think I'd be more stressed about it, but I don't know. It was many years
to
ago.
your point, I want to illustrate. Back in the day, I got married in Barbados. I remember being in the office, somewhere downtown. It was okay. However, nobody walked me through it. It was just show up at this place. You're in a foreign country. Fortunately, this is the United States, but then again, somebody could be traveling from Switzerland. Who knows? Where you don't know. So it can be a little unnerving. Am I doing the right thing? What am I supposed to be doing? What time am I supposed to be here? This is wonderful, where it's basically you're holding somebody's hand right through the entire process. It's almost like just sign right here, you'll be all good, and that's it.
Yeah, and I've had hair and makeup, some of the hair and makeup people I work with call me and they say, "Hey, I have this couple here, not my couple, some other person's couple. They don't know they don't know how to get their marriage license. They're freaking out. They're supposed to have their wedding today, or they don't have a permit for their beach. They don't know what they're doing." And of course, um,
Mm.
and it's so heartbreaking for me to feel like these poor people have got no guidance. Again, you get what you pay for, right? You can find El Cheapo person, and the ceremony money will be fine. And a lot of times they'll just show up, they'll read, they'll leave, and that's it. And you're on your own. And some of them care a little more, I will say, depending on on the situation. But there's varying degrees. I feel like uh, what I strive to do is to handle. I like people that prefer to just like feel held. So all they have to do is show up and know that everything else is taken care of and that I've got them. And that's what I prefer to do. And those are the kind of people that come to me. Is they're like, it's already nerve-wracking enough. I'm coming thousands of miles to get for my wedding. I don't have any eyes on the place. I want someone to just help me make it easy because that's the whole reason
Yeah.
like you get married in Hawaii, right? Should be fun, easy, without.
Well, that's where your value, and that's the key word here, value comes in, where, and again, talking about the Caribbean where I was, the person was okay. I'm not being negative here. However, I revealed previously that, and this was in the mid 2000s, where the photographer used film. Nothing wrong with that. Photographers nowadays still use film. That's their preference. But there were scratches on the negatives, dirt on the negatives when they printed them out. It just, there was a few other things that didn't go as smooth as they could have or should have been. And this person was hired to take care of everything, not just perform the ceremony on the beach.
Right.
And there was no real communication leading up into it. Here, you did Zoom videos. They already knew you before they even met you. Yeah, it's just wonderful. And that just feeling of like, you've got their back. You are the safety net, if you will. And you don't want to worry about it. It's a very emotional time. You want to be in the moment, not worrying about the future, i.e., what's the next step? Where are we supposed to go? What if the music doesn't show up? All of that. And this is indicative of this review. This is the woman in this couple of Nancy, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. She says, of you, her ability to anticipate our needs and handle logistics behind the scenes meant that all we had to do was show up, dressed and smiling, ready to enjoy our day. There you go. Adding a personal touch, Becky's husband went above and beyond, taking candid photos throughout the ceremony and even recording the entire event on my husband's phone, giving us a cherished video keepsake to complement the professional photography. I'm going to pause there for just a second. You've mentioned that your husband plays a major role in a lot of the ceremonies, and if I remember correctly, he's kind of the fun guy, lightening things up, just kind of having fun with people while you're
Right.
working, taking care of everything. But he lightens things up. What's his name again?
Matt. Matt. And then he also, AKA Uncle Dude, and that's because again, the neighbors, the musician neighbors, when we moved next door to them, uh, they yelled over the fence. They're like, "What's your name?" He said, "Matt." He's like, "My name's Matt. We can't have two Matts." And so then it was discovered that my husband was older. So they decided to call it because and here, of course, anyone older is uncle, right? Uncle or auntie. So they started calling him Uncle Dude. So now we
All right.
sometimes store and people are like Uncle Dude. But anyway, so but his name is Matt, and yeah, he in nearly every ceremony, with the exception of a few, he is there taking photos for the couple on their cell phone. And often, if they ask him to, he'll do video. Obviously, there's no microphones, right? It's just like a candid cell phone video, but it's
Mhm.
something. We do have professional videographers for those that are interested,
Sure.
and I can, of course, help arrange that too. But um, yeah, and he just is great at getting like the just great moments out of
Candid,
people. Yeah,
spontaneous. Not to say a professional photographer is not going to get that, but there's not a lot on the line. You're just holding the phone, and you can do whatever you can even edit that into a video if you want. You know, you could.
totally.
Maybe Matt got a shot that maybe you wouldn't see somewhere else. Something happened, spontaneous moment that could be even edited into because phones are such high quality now. Um,
Yeah.
but what she goes to say is, you went the extra mile. You and Matt went the extra mile because he was available. He was there to help out. She says Becky's coordination was flawless, but it was her warmth, enthusiasm, and genuine care that truly set her apart. She made us feel like our wedding was as important to her as it was to us, and her passion for creating memorable experiences was evident in every detail. Thanks to Becky, our wedding was not only perfectly executed, but also deeply meaningful and stress free, as it should be. We cannot recommend Becky Ringler and Simple Kona Beach Weddings highly enough. She is an extraordinary coordinator and a wonderful person who made our Hawaiian wedding a dream come true. Wonderful, wonderful review and heartfelt. You can feel the genuineness coming from that review. Tell us about Nancy's wedding.
So I planned with them. It was like a year in advance. She has I think that they had four, between the two of them, they have four grown children, all, kind of college age, and some of them starting new jobs. And so to coordinate this trip with everybody being available at the same time was a big deal. So it was planned quite a bit ahead. Um, and they rented a house and they really wanted to do this at this particular house. I know that I've done several weddings at that particular venue. That house lends itself to a perfect wedding spot. It has a spit of land that has been grandfathered in uh, way up to the ocean. That's really special. That's just off. Um, you know, apart from the house, like there's a house lawn, and then you go across a public path, and then they have an extra bit of land that is just theirs. And it's really special. There's some shade. And we did do this wedding. I've talked before that normally I don't do weddings in the afternoon. They had scheduled a luau for their reception. And the luau, you have to be there between 5 and 5:30, which does not lend itself to a sunset ceremony, FYI. So for anyone thinking about a luau, I usually recommend it for the night before your wedding or another time during your trip because you're going to miss out on the sunset photos. In their particular case, they were okay with doing an afternoon wedding, particularly because I knew that spot had shade. So there's a nice tree in the yard, in that private yard right by the ocean that has shade. So no one was roasting to death. There was not that horrible sun that is really hard if you're just exposed on the beach, and it's terrible lighting for photos and your eyes. And you can't wear sunglasses and everyone's like, it's not nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it was really beautiful. It was a gorgeous afternoon. We were in the shade, there was a little breeze, and hear the ocean. And it was just lovely. And
Wow.
afterwards, they had a little time. We planned this so that they would have a little bit of time to change because they did. Um, it was hot, as usual, mid-afternoon and in August on an August day, but not hot like New York hot in the afternoon in August. And they had time to change, have their cake, and then I helped them arrange transportation also to their. I gave them and helped them facilitate the communication with the transportation company. Um, a little bus that picked them up and took them to their luau so they could just enjoy.
So
So
I want to
those,
make sure I got logistics right here. So
yeah,
wedding at the private residence or what they were renting, correct?
yeah, yep,
Okay. Um, I'm gonna go through layer by layer here if I
yeah,
can.
sure.
Okay. So you don't have to rent a place. You can
No,
just do it on the beach. You have a number of spots that you're very familiar with, and we can do it there. Or you can rent a private residence if you so choose. So I'm imagining that you went to the residence and scoped it out in advance.
yeah, well, I've been there several times, so I have
Okay.
done weddings there before.
But
But
that might not be
get
that might
them
it might not be the case though. Somebody might just it
right.
could be just some random house that they found and whatever it might be.
And
Would you
even
go?
so, I went there the day before. We all met the day before around the time of their wedding,
Okay.
uh, so that we could see what the lighting was like, where the shade might be, where we should set up. Because, and also there had been bushes that were not there before that had grown up around, I think for privacy, because it's a popular, like the shoreline there is a popular spot for people to be. So in the private spit of land, they had also grown up these bushes around the edge that were not there the last time I was at that place. So that's the other reason. Even if I've been there before, I always like to go ahead of time because then I can see and we could get a feel like where makes the best ceremony spot. And also things change, like properties change a little bit, like case in point, the bushes or furniture has moved. Do we need to move anything around? Or given the time of day, where's the best place to stand? You know, these are the things that we look at together. So, and by the way, some rentals don't allow you to do things, but if in this particular kind of case, if it's everybody staying there, you're not bringing anybody separate, you would be allowed to because there's nothing, we're not putting any chairs on the lawn, we're not setting anything up that goes into the grass. We had a flower heart for them to stand in.
Hmm.
All of that is picked up. So there's nothing that it's a very zero problematic policy kind of thing.
Leave no trace behind.
Right. But if you have a lot of people coming in and you're bringing vendor trucks and things, then a lot of the properties you have to pay a venue, an event fee. So these are things that I would certainly talk to somebody about. But most of the time we just do it on the beach. It is easier, and not every space lends itself well to a ceremony. Even if it's oceanside, it may or may not be a great ceremony location. So, but that's always something I will talk to a couple about for sure.
What was
Yeah.
the total number of people in the party?
In this particular case, it was just the couple and their four kids. So it was a very
Oh, okay. Okay.
intimate, intimate event. And it was, their kids were so fantastic, like so excited, so enthusiastic, like just like wonderful human beings. The whole family was just wonderful. And in
Hmm.
fact, that couple will have them on um, sometime in the
Oh,
future.
awesome. I would love to dig into this and get it from their view. So after the ceremony, they had transportation, which you arranged, and went from the rented residence to a luau. And I guess that's where their celebration dinner was, if you will.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
And
Uh,
then they obviously were picked up on the back end and brought home. So they didn't have to worry about, having some of those Mai Tais and whatever you have at the luau to enjoy yourself. No one was had the pressure of having to drive anybody home. So
sure.
yeah.
Wow. What are some other things that somebody could do after the ceremony? Now, go to a restaurant, have dinner, luau. Are there other things that, call them little extra fun things could be added? Even your stay, things that you could be doing there. Let's say you're staying for a few days or maybe a week, your honeymoon. Just shooting pig here. Like I've been to Hawaii a few times, was even at a luau. I totally forgot about, the luau, and right away it brings up poi and poo-poo platter. That's the first thing that
Right.
comes to my mind.
I would say that to me, like, okay, so first of all, afterwards, typically, and what I help people do most often is arrange a private dinner somewhere. If you have a small enough party, it may not need to be private. I'll just help you arrange a really nice dinner somewhere, help you with reservations
Sure.
if need be. Um, if you there are private dining experiences, I have good relationships with all of the people at those places and can help, you know, kind of give you a feel and get quotes and experience have that experience,
Hmm.
uh, help everybody set that up. But in terms of, okay, here is a very memorable experience, and we may or may not have talked about this, but something very unique to the Big Island is the manta ray snorkel. You go at nighttime on a there are several ways to do this. You can go in a big boat from the harbor and you have like a sunset cruise, and then you cruise over to where the mantas are, and then everybody comes out of the boat and you hang on this little thing with a light and you see the mantas. Then there is the experience, which is my personal preference, where you launch on an outrigger. There's only, I think it's 6 people plus the guides on the boat, and you all paddle out just like a couple hundred feet out into the bay.
Wow.
And you're often, if you do the late one, pro tip, do the late one. You're in between all the big boats. So you have the mantas all to yourself. Then you pop in the water. Again, it's nighttime. And for those of you scared about getting in the water at night, there is literally not, I've done this several times. There's nothing really in the water except for plankton, which is what the mantas feed on, right? So they come up with a light, attracts them, and you have these huge manta rays that are like 12, 15 feet wingspan things. They have no teeth. They come up with their mouths open. If you Google this, you'll see, or YouTube it, you'll see the videos. It is a very, like, it's an unforgettable experience, unlike perhaps like you were describing your luau was like, oh, did I go to one? I guess so, but this is the kind of thing, a once in a lifetime thing for a lot of people. Um,
Mm.
and it is a really magical experience to do that. And of course, you're always allowed to get in the boat anytime. If for some reason you're tired or you're freaked out or you're whatever, it's not like you're required to stay in the water, but it is a very super cool experience. So that's like number one thing that I recommend for people to do because it's
Wow.
it's really spectacular.
That
Yeah.
water that the rays are in, what do you think the depth is?
Oh, it's not that deep usually. Like, I mean, maybe 15, 20 feet or
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like super deep. Although I have to say this, the other thing, unlike the Caribbean, here in Hawaii, just a couple hundred feet offshore, it drops down to thousands of feet. It's a very the depth off the shore of Kona is so and off the shore of generally of the Big Island is so deep. Um, it is it's kind of amazing. Like you can go out and right around the edges, there's all these, very 10, 20, 30 feet, and then all of a sudden, boop, drops off on the edge of the reef and it just goes down. It's really
Mm.
awesome. Yeah.
I'm going by memory here, but I've swam with rays. I've seen them in aquariums where you can touch them, big ones. Um, to your point, no teeth. Like you can even put their mouth, your hand right by
Right.
there. It's almost as like they like little suction cups. They're like they're not going to do anything. What an experience, though. See, 12 feet. Wow, wow.
Yeah, they have names for them, and the guides will tell you, like, oh, we got so and so. A lot of times, if for some reason you don't see any, you'll get a rain check and you could come back to try and see some another night. Um, Luckily, every time I've gone, we've seen a lot of them, which is really cool.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, it's a really neat experience. I feel like the water is like a key, especially if you stay on this side. This is the beach side. Not that there aren't cool places in Hilo, but um, when you're on the sunset side of the island, you get the light all afternoon long. It's a different experience swimming in the ocean over here. I have swum over there too, of course, and it's very beautiful. But here we have the white sandy beaches, and our water is just, I feel very spoiled. We used to go to Cape Cod as a kid. I swam all the time in the ocean. It was very cold, but nonetheless, now I feel really spoiled.
Mm.
The water here is so beautiful. And also, much like the Caribbean, sort of this crystal blue water. Um, it's just really, really
Yeah.
magical.
Well, to your point, why you're getting married? Why are you in Hawaii?
Yeah.
What brought you there? I gotta believe it was the tropical climate, the culture, Polynesian culture, and the water. Well,
Yeah.
what else? So
Oh,
why
and
not
the
take it there?
volcano, like right now,
And the
the
volcano, yeah.
volcano is going off. So it's pretty cool, like, to go and if you're lucky, you'll get a good volcano. I mean, spectacular fountains are going off right now, on and off. And luckily, again, I say luckily, and I've said this before, they go off for a few days and then it stops abruptly. Like it just stops like a faucet is
Mhm.
turned off. And then it'll start again. But what's nice is then it keeps the air clean. We don't have a solid layer of volcanic fog over the island. Like it'll come and go and come and go. And hopefully during your trip, if you really want to see the volcano, the active volcano, you'll be able to have a chance to do that. Um,
Becky, you get
and
everything done. Can't you just make sure that it erupts when I'm there? Come on.
I'll do my best. It's sort of like, when we go during whale season and a whale jumps in the back of a wedding, my husband's like, haha, your credit card went through. You know? And we've had amazing things where there's like dolphins and whales and rainbows and like all the things happen all at once in someone's wedding. And you're like, yeah. My husband's like,
Oh,
you got
oh,
the
wait,
pictures
there's a
wrong.
unicorn. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. What about and things will happen.
Yeah.
What now you're talking about some spontaneous, unplanned things. Sometimes challenges present. That's called life. What do you recall? And things that may have happened during a ceremony, during somebody's stay?
Just thought of one. We had a bride's son throw up during the ceremony. He was like 3 or 4. And we're in the middle of the ceremony, and he just like threw up in the middle of the ceremony. And we
It's the
did
poi.
pause.
I'm telling you, it's the poi.
Well, it was dehydrate. This is, please
Ooh,
hydrate. No matter where you are, if you're out in the sun, it is hotter here. You're going to sweat more. People forget to drink water. This was a little boy. It wasn't like a 21-year-old who had too much to drink. It was like, "Rah." It was like a little kid. But nonetheless,
yep.
he had pretty severe dehydration, I think. And or he could have eaten too much poi, who knows? But anyway, we did pause. They took care of it. And then we began again. Things can happen during the middle of the ceremony, um, and then we just roll with it. I feel like I don't get flustered very easily, and I know how to rope things back in. I feel like that's part of my therapy background too, like holding a space for people and then allowing things to happen, but bring them back, bringing them back in. Like it's, uh, if we can, I try to handle things with humor, depending
Hmm.
on the to try and keep things in a good feeling way. Um, and sometimes like there have been rare times, but it happens. It has happened a few times where I go and I pick up my leis, like I pick up my flowers sometimes directly from not my main florist, but I have a farmer who creates some leis for me. And sometimes I've picked them up and they're not right. Like they're the wrong leis or they're too small or like something weird happens.
Yeesh.
And there is no time for me to get a replacement. So it's a matter of the one time that did happen, I just took some other leis that they had and I said, I'm taking these other ones too, because I need to figure out what we're gonna do here. And of course they did not, um, they were profusely apologetic. But anyway, I'm like, look, this is not something that we can just, do you have time? I'm like, no, I don't have time for you to make me other ones. No time. It's someone's wedding. So anyway, um, I am very grateful, like thankful. I have very super awesome couples also who, if things go awry, I just talk with them and I say, like, here's what happened. Like, what are we going to do to make do? Now, most of the time when that happens, if that happened, I should say that one time it happened, these were not super fancy leis. My florist creates the super fancy leis, and I've never had a problem with my person who does all my intricate stuff. But if you're relaxed enough to want just a simple lei, most of the time you're not that picky, and you'll roll with the punches a little bit more. So um, I will just help navigate that and try and ease that. And only once in the 10 years I've been doing this, I had a musician who got the date wrong and didn't show up, but they called me. The main guy called me and he said, "Oh my God, so and so thought it was tomorrow. I don't know why. I'm on my way." I'm like, "Well, the wedding is starting, but luckily they had extra photo time and he just started after the ceremony." And I did say to the groom, I'm like, "By the way, you might have noticed the musician is not here. There was a little snafu, and he's coming after." And he's like, "I forgot we had music." And I was like, "Good." And the bride, I didn't even mention anything to the bride. We talked about it afterwards. They told me later that all their guests thought it was on purpose, that the musician came afterwards and they were able to enjoy the music after the ceremony. Because again, on the beach, it is loud. You've got waves, you've got wind. No one notices if there is you know, music, I mean, you notice it's a nice touch, but if it doesn't happen, it's not like a quiet room, like where's the music? And there was a lot of excitement. So um, again, we just roll with the punches and you know, again, things happen on occasion, but I would say that's very rare. And I do my best. And people, I feel like the good thing is I have a really good relationship with my couples and they trust me. So if something goes awry, they know that I'll do my best to handle it and
You know,
make it.
like I always say, you're the safety net.
Yeah.
This is not, don't do this alone, people. Just don't, yeah, it doesn't work that way. I want to look at your background. You have a, and I find it very interesting. You're very attention, um, you pay a lot of attention to detail. You have a theatrical background. You have a therapeutic background, if you will. How interesting that all of this stuff blends into what you do in terms of preparing weddings. It's a show, let's be
That is a
honest.
show. It's a
You're
big
putting,
production.
it's
Yeah.
a production.
Yeah.
So that you have that experience as an actress and working in productions, and then it's therapy too. You're dealing with very emotional situations. We've never talked about that. Tell me about that, the therapeutic background.
Yeah. I mean, um, have my master's in counseling psychology with a concentration in expressive arts therapy, since I was an actress. And by the way, side note, I did a ton of producing when I was in college. I also was a performer and I produced a ton of full scale productions. So I learned how to produce many shows. I co-produced the largest student produced musical in the country. That was like 1,000 years ago, but yes, anyway. And that my co-producer on that particular show is now a huge producer for
Wow.
he travels over the world as a enormous producer. Anyway, but yeah, the therapeutic background. I was just talking with a couple the other day, and this does come up occasionally. Sometimes um, other family members try to take over for a couple. And no matter how much they tell them that I have it under control, they're trying
Hmm.
to do things. And they asked me um, the other day, they said, can you help keep the guardrails on for us? Because so and so is trying to take over, or this person, and I'm going to be co officiating. I do co officiate on occasion with couples who they have a special family member or a special friend that they want to do things, and I add the Hawaiian elements. Or in this particular case, they want me to carry the bulk of the ceremony, and they're trying to prevent, not prevent, but this family member had an idea of doing like a full hour long thing. And they're like, that's not what we wanted. We didn't ask him to do that. And we'll be having all a conversation together. And they're like, please don't let him bulldoze you. I'm like, it's okay. I
Oof.
said, I understand, this is sensitive and he needs to feel important and heard. And I want him to feel like he has a good part, but also I hear what you want. So we'll do our best to kind of hold this together. And I feel very comfortable in handling these situations. And sometimes it's easier for me as a non-family member, right, to manage this. And especially if the couple communicates with me clearly about what they need and what they're hoping for, I can try and manage that because it's pretty delicate. Occasionally, there are a lot of family dynamics when a wedding comes about. Um,
Yes, and it's somewhat common as I have friends who are wedding DJs,
oh,
and
yeah.
many times you might have an in-law, mother, father-in-law that steps up that they see it a certain way. So your your therapeutic background comes in handy, I'm sure, at that moment. Did you say you had a title for it? But to me, it also sounds like uh, drama therapy, which
Oh,
is
yeah. Yeah. So expressive arts therapy includes drama therapy,
okay.
FYI. So it uses all modes of therapy, or all modes of art. So drama, drawing, like
Sure.
dance, all the different types of therapies. So yeah, all
Wow.
combined.
Wow. Isn't it funny how life takes you? Like, let's go back 15 years. Would you ever thought, would you have ever thought you'd you be doing this now? But all those things that you were experiencing, learning, making your passion along the way was almost the setup for this, setting you up to do this.
It's funny. Okay, so when I was in college, I visited my roommate from freshman year, uh, between freshman and sophomore year. I visited her in California. She's from Taiwan. Her mom did my Chinese chart. And she said, one of the things she said is, well, you're going to be very successful in your middle age. And she said, and everything you will have done up until that point will have informed well, she said you'll be very successful along the way, but the main thing that you'll be doing, everything you've done before then, will inform what you're doing there or something. And so I was like, I always thought, I bet this will contribute. Every path. And so I didn't mind as things as I have evolved and changed and moved along my life. I think, oh, this is just adding to this, and oh, this is just adding to that. And I feel like that's makes life more fun. I've done many things, and I think that that makes life fun. And this is the longest I think I've ever done anything, but
Wow.
it's different every time. I mean, some things are the same, but every person, that's what makes it fun for me, is every couple is different, every
Sure.
dynamic is different, every sunset is different. So it makes it it's very delightful. It's
Yeah.
fun for me.
I mean, it's a different energy too, if you believe in energy. And I do. Everybody's energy, everything is energy. So it's a different vibration every
Yeah.
time you work with somebody, which, makes it special. What was the moment that you decided this is what I want to do? Like, what was your first wedding that you planned? How did that even happen?
So, okay, so we I just published the book that I'm going to be republishing, a book on manifesting your perfect mate. And I was doing some dating and relationship coaching, and and we had a friend over who had started to do weddings, who honestly I don't think she really should have been doing them, but anyway, they did it to make money, right? They're like, oh, blah blah blah. And she said, hey, Becky, you should really do weddings. So they were thinking about getting out of it, but she's like, you should really do that. I think it would be really good for you. And it was like this lightning bolt moment, like, oh my gosh, I should do weddings. I should do weddings. And I was like, that's a really good idea. She's like, yeah, we're getting out of this, but I think you do really well at it. It seems to suit you. And I literally, that afternoon, I figured out how to get myself ordained and registered with the state. And I created a website and I put it on Facebook the next day. And I had a friend reach out and say, hey, we're coming to Hawaii. It's for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. Could you do their vow renewal? So it just
Hmm.
sort of happened like that, And then I got my first person who reached out to me. It was scary the first few times because I'm like, I feel like I'm going to be good at this, but I don't really know. Like, I don't have any, like, I know that I'm trustworthy, but I don't have any, like, history to back it up, right? But people just kept trusting me. And every time on the anniversary of my very first couple that I did not know that I married, I always give a shout out to them for trusting me to bring it together. And it was so much fun. And then it just kept rolling along. And now it's been over 10 years and almost
Wow.
800 ceremonies. And it's been it's really wonderful.
What a
So
responsibility, though, especially there in the beginning. You got
yeah,
a lot of to be responsible for.
yeah.
Um, Even just reading the vows, officiating the ceremony, I think could be unnerving if you haven't done it a bunch of times before. And
I used to practice over and over and over. And of course,
that,
I mean, I used to, because I did live plays and things, I'm a very good memorizer. I can always, usually in a play, I would not only know my lines, but everybody, like I know, I always used to say, if you know the whole script, you can never get lost. Even if you flop a line, you know what's happening, so you can make the play. You can keep it back on track.
Mhm.
But the same thing with my ceremony during COVID, when we were not doing ceremonies, when my husband and I would take walks, I would occasionally just do my ceremony so I wouldn't forget it because I don't actually have it written down anywhere. I have it memorized. I have a basic outline, but I have done it, of course, so many times. I just don't read from a book unless there's something special someone wants me to add. Um, and
There we go, right back to the theatrical background.
yeah, yeah,
It's coming, I just find the synergy of all of this just pretty amazing. But that's the way life works or should work if you let it
yeah.
take you in that path. And you mentioned something a moment ago about writing a book, manifesting the perfect person in your life. Did I hear that right?
Yes, you did. And I will be republishing that soon. When I published it, I now have a little publishing company and I know
Hmm.
how to use keywords and how to advertise a book and all the things that are important. And I made a really clever title for my book. Um, but I will be relaunching that book. I might be adjusting the title. I did a pun. It was very clever. Clever titles work if you're famous. And But anyway, that book, everyone loves the book, but not as many people see that book. So we will be talking about that soon, Steve.
Hmm.
Um, so
I'm
I'm really
intrigued
excited.
because I am going to say this, and I'm fully transparent.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my vision board on the wall, and it has that person.
Oh,
Not even kidding. And
yeah.
I've done it in the past, manifested. Um, Somebody showed up, and everything was. I know we digress here, but everything was perfect except call it emotional availability. And I didn't manifest that part. I just assumed that came with the package. Everything else, boop, 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 it was perfect. Still connected, but not in the capacity I anticipated. Um, so I'm intrigued about it. I'm a big fan of manifesting. Um, and there's many other things on my vision board here in terms of career and such. And I add to it. And there's three words I put up there. And if you're into manifesting, this will resonate. Three words: it is done. It
I
is
love that.
done. It's already
It
here.
has to have already happened, right? So you're grateful for it as if it is already as if it is already true, and that brings it to you faster.
Yep.
Um, and ironically, my book is it's geared toward women manifesting their perfect mate. But I've had many a man read the book say this is, I mean, it's applicable kind of for anything. There's really fun exercises in the book. It's very
Mm.
interactive. Um, it takes you through some special secrets but they're very active, interactive, and in my opinion, it's a very fun book. It's very personal. It's definitely in my voice, and so it's a really fun book, and I can't wait to share it with you. I'm looking to plan like a relaunch. I'm debating about making the relaunch of the book just a more gender neutral version, or if I'll just have the original one and then I'll do one for men, or whether it's like a gender, like just reeling in your person. But a lot of my female folks who have read the book, they're like, keep it for me. I'm like, okay, yeah. So it's an interesting thing. But Steve, you just
Hmm.
in a him or a her version for the him, and you'll get it. So
I get the, keep it for me. I don't know why it can't be gender neutral or maybe have two sections of the book, and it works. I mean, I know somebody who's a life coach, and just quick story, and we're going to get to another book that you've written in a moment. Um, she had a challenging marriage. Husband was somewhat abusive from what she explained. He passed away. It was a bit of a relief with the way things had gone. When that happened, she wrote down who she wanted. She put it underneath her mattress, and within a week, Mr. Right, if you will, showed
yeah,
up happily ever after. Uh, and that's coming from some, it's not made up. That's legit.
yeah.
And I've heard many, many other stories.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, we'll circle back to that.
yeah.
Let's go to the other book you have. We talked briefly about that before. Radically different than what we're describing here. This is a coloring book, not just for kids. Coloring books are big for adults right now. And this is all about Hawaii, right?
Yeah, so this book, and I'm going to tilt the screen down a little bit. So this book, Aloha Adventures, a cute and cozy animal coloring book. This takes place in Hawaii. We've got three characters that are definitely not from Hawaii. We've got a sloth, a llama, and a baby hippo. These three characters. Oh, and there's also a hidden chameleon who will be in every shot. And all of these, this trio plus this little guy will be traveling around the world together. But I had to start in Hawaii. My husband and I worked on this book. We worked with a team of artists, but we created the scenes. And this coloring book is so cute. It makes it like I feel like, if you're coming to Hawaii, or even if you just want to come to Hawaii, like this book will help you sort of feel like you're here in
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii, like having little adventures. You're, having a rest in your hammock, you're eating yummy fruits, you're watching the dolphins. And by the way, there have been days where there's dolphins jumping and rainbows and like all the stuff happening all at once. It's a pretty cool thing. So, there's just a lot of like fun little designs in here. I think my favorite, let me find it for you. Um, but it's, coloring, I have to say, Steve, is one of those things that's kind of a big thing right now.
Oh, yeah.
These and this style, this is volcano, obviously, right? Um, a lot of coloring books that we did this particularly in the style of um, like bold lines, which makes it really fun to color,
Yep.
easy and fun. And you were saying that your 17-year-old daughter has been coloring her book.
I'd be showing it right now, but she hijacked it, and
Yeah,
she was already doing it. And so I'm very much plugged into it. Yes, on the bold lines. What I do like is at the beginning of the book is
oh,
your suggestions and advice for the best color, i.e., alcohol markers or different types of medium that you can use to color. But you make suggestions even where to buy them. We went
yeah.
through, my daughter and I went through trying to find the right markers. I'd order them on Amazon. We'd get them. It's like, these aren't the right ones. And then send them back. And then, I probably went through three different sets of markers where if I had that book, I would have just, I think there's a QR code in there if I remember
There
correctly.
is. Yeah, there's QR codes. And the other thing is, pro tip, always make sure that you put a piece, and that's in here too in the beginning, like put a piece of, here's, by the way, QR codes for the markers.
Yeah.
Also, please leave a review if you get the book. The reviews really help, you guys. It's a really competitive category. Reviews make a huge difference, but always put a piece of paper behind your drawing. These are all single-sided, but if you put a blank sheet of paper behind, that'll help prevent
Bleed through.
any bleed through, right?
Yeah.
Because you never know like what you're using. Even if you use, say, colored pencils, sometimes if you're pressing too hard, it can press on the other page. So having that layer of protection.
But I didn't know that, Becky, and then that's what happened. Big deal. But I appreciate. Well, this is you. This is your attention to detail with weddings, with coloring books, all that stuff that you think of to make our lives much easier. And just fantastic book. I just like the cast of characters, so random, between the sloth and the llama and the chameleon. And yes, I went through every single page, going to be honest with you, and spotted the chameleon. Just a random thing, like where it might
Yeah.
be. It's
Oh,
almost
that's
like,
a fun thing. And
yeah.
like the and we have in the where is this one? Let me see if I can find the page. There's this really cute one where they're oh, not this one. I have sometimes he's in like in this page here, the chameleon's dressed up in his own little
Hmm.
it's Aku and
It's like too
so
cute.
yeah, there's lots of fun stuff in here, but what's funny is that attention to detail is something that comes up a lot in the reviews that people write about me, and I think it's always funny because I also feel like in a lot of ways I don't stress about the small stuff, so I think it's really funny, but I'm very particular about certain things, especially when it comes to quality and when it comes to how something is. So I guess that's where that comes from. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I'm like, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. So,
But it's all geared to one thing, making a wonderful experience, whether it's a coloring book or whether it's a wedding, and
yeah,
making it easier for somebody. Again, my daughter and I, we didn't know anything about that. Yeah, she only started doing this about a year ago. Didn't know about the markers, didn't know about the paper, for the bleed through and all of that. The book details on that can be found on your website as
no,
well.
well, it will be soon. You can see
Okay.
it. I do have a link on my Instagram and on my Facebook page. It will be soon on my website, but you can get this on Amazon. It's Aloha Adventures, a cute and cozy animal coloring book. I believe that if you type in Aloha Adventures, it is the first one that comes up, but the whole title is actually Aloha Adventures, a cute and cozy animal coloring book. But you'll see these three characters on the front. If you look at these
Hmm.
guys, you'll be able to find it.
The fire
And
dancing llama.
the fire dancing llama, and it's right there. And it's easy right on Amazon. If you live in Hawaii, it takes forever to get here, but otherwise, even with Amazon Prime, otherwise you should have it like really fast. It's typical Amazon
Yeah.
shipping. So
Yeah,
yeah,
which we've talked about before. It is the way of life in Hawaii. Weddings, more details, connection, simple Kona Beach Weddings.com.
correct. Yes, that's where
Beautiful.
you'll find me. Yep.
Thank you for sharing everything today, Becky. Learned a lot. I'm glad that we can go through that review, Nancy's review, and
Yeah.
see it from another side. And looking forward to having her and potentially her new husband with us sometime in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Thanks so much, Steve.
Awesome.
Today was a lot of fun.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch up soon, okay?
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.